Hey out there, legal warriors. Now I hope this video never applies to you, but I also think it's very, very important that you watch a video like this before it applies to you. And this video is about the biggest mistakes to avoid after you're arrested for a crime. That's important. And so if you're interested in this area of the law, stay tuned because this is the video for you. My name is Attorney Lance Fryrear, and I'm a defense attorney in Linwood, Washington. My law firm has been defending people charged with crimes for more than 20 years. And I'm putting out these videos to help educate the public. So if you find this useful, please like and please subscribe. More people will get the help they need. Now let's just jump right into it. People make mistakes, big mistakes after being arrested. And avoiding those mistakes is going to really help make a bad situation a lot better. And so I'm going to cover, let's call it 5 mistakes people make, and I'm going to come up with these on the fly that I see for me doing this for actually 30 years because I was a prosecutor before doing defense now for more than 20. So I think number 1, the biggest mistake is talking about the facts of the case on the jail phone. Okay, if you get arrested, you probably were not planning on being arrested, and you're panicked, you're worried about work, your pets or your loved ones, your reputation, all these things. Get me out of here. That's what you're thinking. So hopefully you've had some phone number memorized, right? We should all memorize a number of someone we want to call because we're not going to have our cell phone, right? We can't just, click a significant other and it'll ring. And we call up that loved one or a mother or friend or whoever it is, and then we just start blabbing about the facts of the case. Hey, I got arrested for X, Y, and Z. No, I didn't. I only punched her because she did this to me, or I didn't really steal it. I only put it in my backpack. Who knows what is said on there, but that, whatever is being said on there is recorded, right? They warn you it's being recorded, but once we get that loved one on the phone, and especially if it's a mother or somebody, and we're traumatized, we just start talking, okay? And that really can wreck a lot of cases because in serious cases especially, the prosecutor is going to get that recording. So what is okay to talk about? Well, hey, I'm under arrest for X, Y, or Z. Here's the jail I'm in. Here's what I'm told about if I'm going to have a court hearing or if there's a bail. Can you call an attorney and help get me out of here, right? You can say, hey, feed the dogs and stuff like that too, but what's to be avoided is avoid talking about the facts of the case. Also, avoid calling the alleged victim if you could, right? If there's an alleged victim in the case, it's a lady's accused of assaulting her boyfriend, maybe avoid calling the boyfriend, right? Maybe you need to be calling someone else because that's going to promote a lot of talking about what happened. And, a prosecutor may listen into that eventually. So the biggest mistake to avoid is talking about the facts of the case on the jail phone. I think the second big mistake that we need to avoid is not being clear on what the status of the case is, okay? Oftentimes, you're going to be held in jail for a night or 2 nights and you're going to get released. And some people think that when they're released, the case is just over because sometimes there's no paperwork you're giving when you're released. And then, we're obviously traumatized. We go about our life and we just forget about it, okay? And if we just forget about it, guess what? The case isn't over. If you get arrested when you get released, the case is not over, right? There's going to be more things that happen. I've got videos on that about what happens after a felony arrest, things like that. But basically, you may be given something that talks about a court date, or in many cases, you're not given anything. So don't make the mistake of assuming that the case is over, right? The third mistake you want to avoid is related to this, is just not doing anything about it, right? You need to contact an attorney. Find yourself an attorney in the criminal area, since we're talking about an arrest, to talk about what happened, right? To confidentially talk about what happened and get some information. If they're an experienced criminal attorney, they're going to know, right? Just by when you were arrested, what were you arrested for, the location that you were arrested. We're most likely going to know, if we're any good, about exactly what to expect. Hey, you're probably going to have a court date in 2 days, or hey, they're going to look at it for the next 6 months, or you're going to have a notice that shows up in the morning once the court clerk enters it from the weekend. right? Or they might be able to tell you a piece of paper that you haven't read closely. So the third thing is don't fail to contact an attorney. The attorney is the expert, hopefully, who's going to be able to tell you what happened. I think the fourth mistake you can make is not understanding terms of that you were given on paperwork, you were given when you're released. We see it all the time. People get released with paperwork and they don't read it, right? You've got to read the paperwork. The paperwork might say that you're not to have any contact with someone, or you're not to be a certain distance from somewhere. And not reading it is not an excuse, right? The judge may have said something in a court hearing and you may or may not have been listening because it's difficult, right, to be in jail. And if you're given the paperwork and you don't read it and you violate it, you might get arrested and charged with another crime. And I didn't read it is not a defense. So you need to read it. You need to try to understand the terms. And if you can't understand the terms, then you're going to want to talk to your attorney or talk to an attorney about that. I don't have an attorney, Lance. Well, most attorneys will talk to you a little bit on the phone for free. And also you may be able to call the public defender's office, right? You may be able to call the public defender's office in the jurisdiction where you got arrested for them to give you some information. So you've got to try to understand the terms, and that starts with reading what was written there. And I think last but not least, the biggest mistake you can make after an arrest is giving up, making matters worse, not thinking anything can be done, right? If we've been arrested, we might be going through something difficult in our life, right? We're all going through all types of stresses with the political problems and the divisions in the country, COVID, things like that, financial problems. And, we were feeling probably pretty bad to begin with when we managed to get ourselves arrested. And now we're probably feeling even worse. And so we might want to just bury our heads or drink more or act out more or do something like that. And that's a mistake. What we want to do is use the crisis to our biggest advantage, right? When we get arrested, it's a crisis, and we want to make the most out of the crisis. So again, it's time to reach out to people that you count on for support, right? Do you have some friends or some family who can try to help steady you during this period of time? Can you contact a lawyer who's going to be able to help, tell you how it really works and defeat all those demons in your head talking about how you've ruined your life, because you most likely have not ruined your life, right? So things can be done, charges can be avoided, charges can be dismissed. There can be steps you could take today to help your outcome in the future. And most of all, you want to be able to have that positive attitude so you can sleep again at night, right? So the mistake to be avoided is making matters worse, getting into more problems, giving up, not trying to get help, keeping it to yourself. These things are to be avoided after an arrest. So those are 5 things that I think, 5 big mistakes to avoid if you get arrested. And it's not easy, okay? You're not going to be at your best going through this, but hopefully having heard this video, if you go through this or a loved one has gone through this, you get some understanding of maybe the things to do and the things not to do after an arrest here in Washington State. So if you found this useful, please like, please subscribe. More people will get to see it. And finally, if you have a problem, a criminal problem, feel free to give my office a call. We'll listen to what happened. We'll identify a way forward, and we will be there for you. Thank you.